GM. GM. So, today is Wednesday. Is it? Wednesday. Yes, it is. Midweek. 20th of December. Let's do daily levels. So, Bitcoin's still holding up okay. I'm expecting... I wouldn't be surprised to see a move up to the 45k level. As I said, I've been expecting it for a couple of weeks now, ever since we dropped down, so just over a week, 10 days. Been expecting it to move up. I think it will get there. I think initially we'll reject off that. And by the 29th, so next Friday, we're probably somewhere between 40 and 45. Don't know if we'll go down to the 200 yet. Might have to go up first. Maybe follow the blue path. If it follows the blue path up, drops back, we might hit the 200 then. Of course, we might not hit the 200 at all. I thought yesterday's rally might unwind a bit faster. It didn't. That's pretty good. Taking a look at Bitcoin compared to total 3. You'll see the alts are leading slightly. As you'll see here. Alts are a bit closer to their breakout point than BTC is, which is fine, as I keep saying. It's when alts outperform consistently, right? So if alts break out here, which, as I said, there was no reason to worry and panic when we were apparently nuking, according to Twitter. Over here, the total 3 chart looks unbelievable, ready for a breakout, right? Just like it did over here. Chopping, eventually breaks out and goes up quite significantly. That was the breakout from 400 billion area all the way up to 450. This one could be our push to 500, and also looking good. But of course, I would like to see Bitcoin lead, which is always the healthiest way. It's unlikely though. Total 3 is looking really good. It's closer to a breakout. We're in Christmas week, and Bitcoin tends to be quite low volatility going into that week. Now, I don't think a lot of people say there's weakness around Christmas. I don't think people are going to be selling Bitcoin going into Christmas because they know that in the first few days of January, we've got ETF. So it doesn't make sense for anybody to exit their positions, de-risking into the Christmas period. Whereas pretty much every other year, it does make sense, right? You don't have a immediate catalyst on the horizon, so it does make sense to stay in. So I think Bitcoin will hold strong because of that. But if we start to see, especially over the Christmas period, alts breaking out, alts running much harder, that will be one of your warning signs for sure. So I want to look at the data as well along with that and see how we're tracking as a whole across the market. Funding rate global, open interest global, and funding rate for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has cooled off nicely. OI, funding, OI for the market, and funding for the market. So BTC and alts here. So since the lows, here's a couple things. So Bitcoin can back up to basically double top, right? And open interest was about even from the two tops, from the two peaks. Sorry, there we are. So open interest was about flat from here to here. So that's pretty good. That's just quite a balanced market. If you had seen us running up into those levels and open interest getting way ahead, it would have been a bad sign. Now we did see this where you top out, price goes sideways, open interest keeps rising. What do? We sell off. But that sell-off has already flushed out that extra bit of over-exuberance here. So that's all been taken back out. Now we're rising, and OI is rising. But price is going up, so that's fine. Alts, pretty consistently running up as well, but, open interest hasn't gotten to crazy levels. It hasn't even really gotten back to the levels it was over here. Funding rates ticking back up on alts. They were below neutral. a couple of days ago on Monday. Bitcoin has never went back to neutral, or it did sort of over here a little bit. Yeah, back to neutral a few times. It's just above. So market overall seems fine. It seems, you know, don't know if I'd say healthy, but it doesn't seem overcooked. And we remember, this was the second biggest leverage liquidation since FTX. And that's what I've said very consistently all week. You don't be expecting, or since this day, don't be expecting new lows. Bitcoin dumped down into support, has tested it once, twice, 3 times. If we get another test into that, it'll be a gift. And there's no reason why we should go lower from here, from that perspective, just from a speculation, leverage, open interest perspective. Of course we can go lower if market structure breaks. But when I look across the market, I don't see real signs of broken market structure. So let's just go on some daily charts. Bitcoin is just holding up really well. Now, in these type of consolidations, you want to see it move a bit sooner. This sort of reminds me a little bit of I think it was 2019, there was a move where it looked a bit like this. It was over here. Yeah, this is what it's kind of reminding me of now, right? Where price, we rally up, we move up, we impulse higher, and then price chops around, but keeps bouncing, pushes up, pushes up, pushes up, and eventually it just fizzles out for a couple months, and then we go again. So if we did that up here, it'd actually be incredibly bullish. And what you're looking at would be, like, for example, that's the ETF. Yeah. So I'll just draw it across so you can imagine it. And I guess I'll go to a fresh chart. Right, from the first. There we have it. I'll take it from over here where we sold off. Right? Something like that. I don't think this is exactly going to happen. Also, if there's going to be a spike for ETFs, you would imagine it's going to be around the 8th, 9th, 10th of Jan. So probably something more like this, right? Where we spike up above it. But that all depends what happens in the next few weeks. But if Bitcoin was able to just hold in this area going into next year, that'd be extremely bullish. I don't know if it will. My expectation, though, with how long we're spending in this choppy consolidation here, it's less likely to go much higher, right? Because if you want to see a big move up, you want to see something like we had here, where it's very clearly upward sloping accumulation, right? It keeps making higher lows, higher lows. Or you actually want to see the opposite, where it looks downwards, which induces a lot of shorts and gets people shaken out, and then we go higher. Or if it had to come up here, you just want to see quick pullbacks, pull back, and away we go, right? Because it's momentum. So Bitcoin's losing momentum as it's here. It's still fine. Every trend, it's holding the daily EMAs perfectly. It's holding the 50, 100, and 200 on the 4 hour. But the longer it spends in this area, it just leaves it that if and when we do push up, it's much more likely to reject, and then you can come down, and you can just do a bit like what it was doing, which overall will be very bullish if this all consolidates above 40. Guess it all depends around the ETF. So for me, keeping it very simple, I think we hit 45. It doesn't have to be exactly 45. It doesn't have to be 45 on the dollar. It might stop before the highs. It might sweep the highs. But I think we hit that. And I think we hit 40 again. Doesn't have to be 40 exactly, but into that area. I still think we test both of those before Friday the 29th over here. That's my guide. So where does that put us right now? Pretty much in the middle. So you're probably okay in some alts. If Bitcoin is going to make its move on up here in the next few days, your alts will still rip. But once Bitcoin, if it gets to there, I would be cautious on alts. And especially if it pulls back, right? You get down into here, this is where you actually want to be buying. Right, if any of this happens before the 29th, I'm expecting Bitcoin to bounce off 40, reject off 45. So it kind of puts you in, if you're trying to trade around it, it puts you in not an ideal position, because Bitcoin can just go like that and have a flush down to 41.3 and nothing changes except alts go down 5 or 10%, right? If there's too much leverage in them. So worth keeping an eye on. But overall, market seems fine to me. We're getting closer to Christmas and it'll usually go. It's going to be interesting because normally we get quite low volatility around the Christmas period, as I said. If you look here, this was Christmas week, right? 19th, 20th, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, like nothing. Year before, 2021, we just had fucking straight down here. We actually pumped up into Christmas, then went flat, then reversed it all. So basically nothing happens, right? What you're looking at here is that the directional moves in Christmas week are basically meaningless. So now that we're in Christmas week, you might understand why I'm saying that if Bitcoin goes up to 45 or down to 40, after Christmas we probably just end up back here anyway for the options expiry. And then the real move will start as we go to the new year. That'll be my expectation. That's what basically happens every single year, right? Does nothing in Christmas week, sells off, new year starts, and away we go, directionally. Does nothing in Christmas week, just mean reverts, move up, move down, new year starts, impulse move. And that sets the tone for the year. Sold off on January 1st, basically, right? In the first week of January, we had a down year. Pumped in the first week of January, we had a green year. 2020... Did I do 23? 2023. 2022. Oh wait, yeah, we didn't do 2022. No, we did. Sorry, going into 2023. We haven't had Christmas 2023 yet. Fucking hell. Early morning. Christmas 2020. Right, we had here Christmas week. Actually pumped on Christmas Day and Boxing Day and all the way into the end of the year, and then just kept going. That obviously set the tone for the year to come. 2019, here we are, 22nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, not much happening, right? Sideways shit. Quick dip at the start of the year, then we rally super hard in January, sets the tone for the year. Yes, COVID happened, but we all know how 2020 ended up, right? It's not to say there can't be pullbacks. But I've talked about this before. We are going to fucking rally in January early. It's just so obvious. But you can't get out of the way of the flows. So the reason why that's going to happen is because we have all these factors coming together. First thing, at the start of a new year, people take their positions for the year, right? A lot of large money, big money will position themselves. This year is a halving year. Bitcoin has literally always, in its entire history, every single time, always had a massive green year in the halving year, right? Never the red year. So if you come in on January the 1st, 2024, and you just say, what's the easiest bet to make this year? The bet is that Bitcoin finishes green. So some people will just close their eyes and smash by. Also, why would anybody sell on January 1st? Doesn't make sense to sell Bitcoin on January the 1st or the first week. So you have some people that will definitely buy. You have most people that probably won't sell. And that's why we'll most likely rally early January. Now, just like 2020, it doesn't mean we can't come back and retrace it all. But it sets the tone for the year, right? And if you're looking at other factors, we have the ETF about fucking 8 days later. So obviously, you would expect the market to rally into that. So you've got a positive year coming in. You've got the ETF, which we don't usually have a big catalyst so early in January. And so everything's lining up for Bitcoin to move up at the start of January. That creates a little bit, I mean, it could go either way. Maybe we front run it super hard, right now, or maybe we get more volatility before the 1st of January as people try to front run it, but they get washed out or whatever. Who knows? I tend to think it probably just front runs and nobody's really willing to step in and sell because all the catalysts coming. So I don't know if we see 40 again. We've tested it 3 times, really four separate days, 1, 2, 3, 4. I see no reason why we go there before we go to 45. To me, like, going to 45 is the most obvious trade of all right now. The question is just from where. The question is, do we dip down first? Or do we just build up here? I don't think there's any, to be honest, I don't think there's any real incentive here to go lower. So we've broken from that downtrend. We've retested it here. You know, this long wick that was down into the 50 and the 100 as well on the EMAs. They're sloping up again. It just seems like touching up into here is easy. You've got equal highs above. So anyone who's shorted these equal highs is at risk. Just seems super obvious, right? So, but that doesn't mean it's a good trade. Just, it's super obvious. Doesn't mean that it's good to get long here, because on low time frames, we could come all the way back down here. We could take that out. We could chop around more. Then it could go. I think it's probably just going to go. It's probably going to go sideways for a little bit and then just go up. Hit it. And then whatever happens from there, happens from there. I don't know. Maybe it's building up to blast off super hard. A lot of people probably sidelined if we see a rotation back into Bitcoin. I don't know. But the key thing is zero reason to be bearish here. No reason to be bearish. If you want to be cautious and take some profit or watch the alts closely, sure, but there's no reason to be bearish. Being bearish is illogical here. Bitcoin dominance still on the way up, right? Had a big spike a couple of weeks ago, sideways ever since. There's probably another push in this before the big rotation into alts begins. ETH BTC continues to just look like the worst chart in crypto. Talked about this. Now I've talked about this since fucking 2021. And I talked about it again after the merge. Your big red flag about ETH was the merge. The single biggest catalyst ever in the history of Ethereum was the switch from proof of work to proof of stake, ETH 2.0. Couldn't even make a new high against Bitcoin. And has been literally down only ever since. And not just that. Look at this weekly trend that it's been in since March 2021. 50 above 100 above 200. It's lost it. It's losing its weekly trend. Right? Amazingly, even all the way through 21 and 22 and into 23, it still held that trend. Now it's lost it. It's below and has retested off the 200 EMA. If you think these moving averages don't have validity, look at that. Look where it bounced the first time and look where it's rejected off this time. The Ethereum to Bitcoin trend is extremely weak. I don't think I even need to say that, but I'm going to say it, right? And so everyone is just assuming that it will eventually reverse. And of course, I'm sure eventually it will reverse. But your job is not to guess or pick or predict. So Bitcoin remains stronger. Ethereum remains relatively very weak. Which overall is not bad. It makes a lot of ETH maxis mad and it makes them poor relative to the rest of the market. Now, not the actual ETH maxis. The ETH whales are super mega rich. But any retail or crypto native who decided to go all in on ETH instead of Bitcoin is probably feeling the pain right now, right? Pain of underperformance. Yes, you're up in dollars, but you're down against Bitcoin, Solana, Avalanche, fucking bonk, right? And overall, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it probably means ETH is building up a run to run late. And certainly it's always better for the market health if Bitcoin leads. So that's one of the things, even though this chart looks like shit, that's something that makes me not so, I'm not too upset about that, right? If that makes sense. Because it's quite a good indicator that real retail degeneracy on Ethereum hasn't come back yet. And I think eventually it will. They are held back massively though by the gas fees. And everyone just going to Solana and others. So I think ETH needs a narrative, and the narrative is going to be ETH ETF, which is after Bitcoin ETF. So until Bitcoin's ETF, I think it's going to continue to just suck all the air out of the room. So that's it, GM. I'll see you all on the live stream at 5 p.m. UTC. And we'll also do Wipeout Wednesdays at 7 GM.